This podcast is a production of the Ultimate Christian Podcast Network. Do you want a more intimate walk with God? Are you tired of trying to hear God and hearing only silence? Each week, your host, Felice Skirwitz, is prepared to inspire you and equip you on your journey towards deepening your relationship with God. Listen, hear, and follow the Lord's will in your life, and you will be blessed.
Hey friends, and welcome. This is Felice Skirwitz with an episode of Vintage Homeschool Moms. Today we're going to talk about last minute planning for the holidays. This is episode 508, and you can find the show notes at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. I also have some great links in the show notes for other podcasts that will be helpful, especially if you are heading toward the holidays. And as a special thank you, we are celebrating our 10th birthday. Can you believe that? 10 years of shows from the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. And we have a special ebook for you. It's called Homeschool Matters, and it's a free ebook for a short amount of time. And you can find it on our website at mediaangels.com. And you can thank the following sponsors as well as the other sponsors that are in the book. For example, CTC Math invites you to join over 200,000 students now confident in math because finally they can do it. You can visit ctcmath.com. And we also want to thank Night Zookeeper, who is on a mission for making learning fantastically fun and helps kids unlock their creativity. Their reading and writing program has helped over 1 million children 6 through 12. You can visit them at this specific website so that you can get our special offer, and that is tinyurl.com/Night Zookeepers. And thank you to Math Mammoth. With Math Mammoth's clear explanations and mastery-based curriculum, your students will be all set up for success in algebra and in real life. Visit mathmammoth.com. So a big shout out to our 10-year birthday sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. And we couldn't do it without you, our listeners. Thank you so much for making this network and this podcast number one. Well, here we go. The holidays are upon us, and now is time to fine-tune that list and get to the last-minute planning. And I have a surefire way to keep track of all of this, and I hope this is helpful to all of you. As I've shared with you in past episodes, I usually host a crowd. Sometimes when there's just let's say, immediate family and my daughter and grandchildren, and there's only, she has 11 and total, and then we have 7. So there's 17 of us, and we go, gosh, this is such a small group. So typically we have around 30 people, including some extended family, and we love it. So right now, as Thanksgiving is approaching, I have a lot of things that I've already prepped. And if you've listened to some past episodes, I do things one time and then I reuse a lot of things. For example, things like tablecloths and name tags, and pretty much my meal plan is going to be the same with some extra little things that we add. So the first thing I do is I look at a calendar and I try not to stress out. And I actually will say, I am not stressed. I am not stressed. And I also add, oh, dear Lord, please help me. And that goes a long way to alleviating the worries. And then I'm like, okay, I've got this. And like I said, if you're a longtime subscriber to this podcast, as well as to my e-zines, we give away free planners every year. They're different. So if you're part of our email list, you will get them entirely for free as long as you stay on the list. Afterwards, they're available for cost on our website. But you've heard me talk about the 4 Square Planner. And if you haven't, I have blanks for you. If you're on your phone, you can probably click on those links in the show notes on your podcast app. And I have those on the website that you can, download. I did a filled out example for you. I also have a party planner. I think that is something we're giving away next month, the month of December. So if you're listening to this later, you may have to find that on my website as well. And that's the thing. If you're listening to this podcast or you're on our email list, we love to give you a lot of free stuff. So anyway, the 4-square planner is amazing. And it's basically taking a sheet of paper. You can fold it into equal parts of 4. And these are not squares, more like an oblong. And I write faith, prayer, which is one category, kids, homeschool, and household on each of those. And then I fill in what I want to, and I can do it daily. I can do it weekly. And as I'm recording this, Thanksgiving and Christmas are right around the corner. And so I use this planner daily. And sometimes, I will use it weekly if I don't have as many things to do. Because truthfully, my prayer time is basically the same every single day. And so I have a routine going during the week. It's different on the weekends. And then the other categories, I am a veteran homeschool mom, so I am at the end, I finished my homeschool journey a few years ago. And so under homeschool, I might put something like, meals. And then under household, that's more like cleaning, ordering supplies, doing errands and things like that. And so your categories are going to look different depending on what it is you're doing. And if you're working on last minute prep for the holidays, then whatever holiday that is, if you're listening before Thanksgiving or Christmas or even Easter, or, even if it's Valentine's Day and you're throwing a party or having people over, or even if you're going somewhere, there's still prep that you need to do. So, use those forms, please for personal use only. Don't put them on a blog. If you're a blogger, email me at felice@mediaangels.com if you want permission, and I'll probably give you permission. I'm really big at giving away a lot of stuff. So anyway, what the secret for me for last minute planning is that it's okay to cut corners. And that really is my secret. I used to do everything from scratch, mashed potatoes, dipped strawberries, my own spinach dip, homemade bread to, hull out the inside and put the spinach dip in. But as the years went by and I had more and more children and I was overwhelmed trying to get school finished before the holidays, I realized, you know what? It's okay to go to Panera's and get that round bread they have and use that for the homemade spinach dip. Or it's even okay to get the bread already made and buy spinach dip that I know the family likes. So it saved a tremendous amount of time, and then I can do the things I want to do. And that is if I want to do, chocolate covered strawberries, or I want to make that favorite pie or whatever that is. But this year, I give you permission to delegate where you can and buy things if needed. And I have to tell you my mashed potato story, okay? So I was, really big on, trying to get fresh produce as much as I could, and, trying to buy organics when it wasn't going to, kill the budget. And so I remember getting, the wonderful potatoes and mashing them and making this, the best ever mashed potatoes, homemade mashed potatoes. And so one year I gave myself permission and said, you know what, you do not have time. You're at the, store, you're going to just see what they have. And they actually had prepared mashed potatoes in trays, with even dollops of butter and, scattering of, fresh herbs on top. And I remember buying those and just kind of feeling guilty and thinking, oh my gosh, when I get home, I have to put this in another container so it looks like something I made, and I'll put it in the refrigerator that way. I'm not storing it in this, plastic container. And, these are just, the thoughts going through my head. And, my family's oblivious to, mom's inner turmoil over the not fresh mashed potatoes. And so, Thanksgiving rolls along, and one of my sons absolutely loves mashed potatoes, and he's getting second and third helpings. And oh my gosh, Mom, what did you do differently? These are like the best mashed potatoes ever. Of course, I had to admit what happened. My husband's like, just smile and say thank you. No. True confessions here. And the same thing happened with pie crust. I was making my own pie crust. I love Cooks Illustrated. If you don't know what that is, check it out. That's a present that my husband gets me every year. I have a subscription to that online. Absolutely love it because it's the science behind, why we make what we make and why some recipes don't work. Yes, I read all of the boring science part of it too. But I remember, making these, delectable pie crusts. And one time I was running out of time and had to get the pre-made, not the ones in the refrigerator, the freezer, the ones that are rolled up. I don't do name brands on air, but so you probably know which one I'm talking about. And, the oblong in the red box with 2 pie crusts in there rolled up. And then my husband said the same thing, best pie crust ever. So I'm thinking, why am I killing myself? Yes, I still make my homemade pie crust when I have time, and I actually like that one better, but it's okay. And we do that to ourselves, don't we, moms? But I promised I would help, so I am going to give you a kind of play-by-play on the 4 Square Planner. I keep saying I need to do a podcast just dedicated to this way of planning because I like things on one page. Like even my big calendar that I use for planning out my podcasts or, when I was homeschooling, it has to be all on one page. I want to look at it in one glance and see it all and not shuffle through papers. So that's my own thing. So what I did on my planner is I would put faith first, and I pray first thing in the morning. That is very important to me. So this is where I ask the Lord to guide me, to give me some help. And no, I don't hear a voice from heaven. I wish I did, but I don't. But it's just like when I pray, I just feel that as the day is going along, I am just more efficient, or I think about doing something that I normally wouldn't do. And I just feel like that, for me, as a person of faith, is from the Lord. So I feel better that way. So hopefully faith and prayer is one of your categories. If not, feel free to change it. The second is the kids category. Okay, so I would look at what we have planned as far as homeschooling. Do I need to postpone some unnecessary activities? Do I need to replace some of their school time? Because a lot of times we say, okay, kids, there's no school, and then they're underfoot because what else are they going to do? So I would have something that I would plan. If not, then quickly plan. This is your time for doing puzzles or board games. Enlist the kids' help, especially if they're older. The other day, the kids came over to eat, grandkids, and I was snapping beans. And I said, do you guys want to help? Well, 2 minutes later, we've got 3 kids arguing over doing it. And I said, here you go. You guys can all, work on it. And I put little piles in front of them, and they got it done in no time. So a lot of times kids do want to help, and they like to help. They just have to be directed. And you can also assign special chores. Again, who likes to set the table? When my kids were younger, we sat down and I asked them what jobs they didn't mind doing. It couldn't always work out that way, but for our family, it was easier for me to work within their strengths. One child doesn't mind, like to empty the dishwasher. Another liked to keep the room picked up and looking neat. Another one liked to take out the trash and do outdoor types of things. So each person had their specific chores. And if the dishwasher didn't need to be emptied, it sure as heck needed to be filled, or there was something else that I could direct that child to. And if they didn't have anything else to do and their chores were done, then they could do something in their free time. As far as homeschooling went, I made sure that they put away finished assignments. If they were not finished, we sticky noted it and we made a note of where we needed to pick up after the holidays. We put away school books, cleaned up whatever area you homeschool, or if you have, a box of books or a crate or however you keep your school books, put that away. If it goes in the bottom of a closet or somewhere where you will be able to find it once the holidays are over. And then also clean up your schoolroom or area and pick up any things that you don't need for a while. And that also means cleaning up the bathrooms and things like that. And then under household, I am going to skip the cleaning up category, which I would definitely have here. So the biggest thing with cleaning up is if everything is a big mess, that's the first thing you need to tackle, right? And you need to just clean up the clutter. And then you will find that things are not so insurmountable. So, it's mostly the need to do things last minute. Might be, spot mopping the floors if you can't get to the whole thing, and cleaning the bathrooms, especially the guest bath that your guests will use or even the family is going to use, and just keeping that neat and picked up. And the day of, just take care of the trash. If there's, trash in the bathroom you need to clean up, or just give a spritz to the mirrors or whatever that is, and just quickly do a once over, and then you're good to go. For me, I think especially before the holidays, it's that food list that is overwhelming, and that, mine looks something like green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, homemade rolls, or you can buy them. Same with the mashed potatoes. I already shared that trick with you. The roast that I would prep ahead, turkey, if you're going to have that you would prep ahead. I usually do 2 meats, stuffing, sweet potato casserole, and then whatever your desserts are, like cheesecake, apple pie, mini pumpkin pies, because no one around here likes pumpkin except for several of us, and I absolutely love it. So I'm not making them, so I'll just make smaller versions of it. Dip strawberries and turkey-shaped cookies that the kids can decorate during the day if you're doing Thanksgiving. And so if you're, at the end of your, list of things to do, then what you really need to do is look at your last minute, household decorations. If you're going to do that, for me, it's just throwing on some, decorative tablecloths. They can be solid colors. At Christmas time, I have a lot of solids that I use during Thanksgiving. I have more festive ones that I use. And so you can just recycle those year to year. If you don't have them, do not worry about it. Now is not the time to go get all, fancy. If you don't have the budget for it, you can do things like, the dollar store has stuff to add to your decorations if you want to do that. Or, at this point, it's really difficult to go all out. But you can start small each year. That's how I started. I started with just simple name tags and, printed them on the computer. So I have a file that, I actually use Publisher, but that you may not have that, availability, but you can use a Word program. And, but whatever that is, you can buy 2 candles one year and the next year buy 2 more, and that's how all these years later, I have, a small section where I keep some of our holiday decorations. I also keep my name tags year to year. And, it's sad when you go through your name tags and, these people aren't coming this year. But it is, still it's a blessing to have them from year to year so I don't have to remake everything. And just, holidays are a time to just gather, to be with family, and not to overstress. This year, something new as well is that, my brother has offered to bring a turkey and stuffing, and he lives a couple of hours away. But anytime he has ever brought a casserole or anything else, it's warm or hot when he gets here. So he said not to worry, that I'm hoping he smokes a turkey. He doesn't listen to my podcast, so I may actually have to call and ask him to. He's a fabulous cook, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's just one major thing he took off my list. And so, someone else is bringing some sides. I'm getting to make the rolls, which I love to bake. And so, it was something that my daughter had to just say to me, Mom, you keep saying just come and don't bring anything. But I was looking at her as a mom with, at that point, probably 6 little ones. And I'm thinking that's all she needs is to bring something. But everyone likes to contribute and everyone likes to bring something. Even if they're bringing something store-bought, it's fine. The main idea is what? It's to be together, to be family, and to have a wonderful time. And so, celebrations can just be, 2 people. It doesn't have to be a whole household of people. One of my friends, and I've shared with this, some years back in past podcasts, it was just her and her 2 sons. And so she said what they did was they would go and, they would have their big celebration the night before. And then the day of an event, whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, they would go volunteer and, help dole out food at the, any place that there was a need. She'd call around town and find out if it was a soup kitchen or if it was a church that was, doing a Thanksgiving meal or whatever that was. And she said that for her and her boys, that turned out to be the highlight of their year. They still had their celebration the day before, and then the day of the event, they just, gave their time to others. So it was a real blessing. And so that's something that we need to remember, that, we can get so taken up into the planning and everything else and find ourselves so stressed. When you do, I hope that you think about this podcast, you think about my mashed potato story, and you just, give yourself some slack. It doesn't have to be perfect. For those perfectionists out there, I'm sorry I said that. I'm married to one, so I know I am not. And I think that's probably the Lord knew that would be my saving grace here. So I hope this helps, moms. I hope it gave you just a quick list of ideas, a place where you can scale back, cross out, or call and delegate something to someone who is coming. If you are bringing, a side or, whatever that is, and you're going to visit someone else, that is such a blessing just from someone who hosts to know that somebody is taking that off of my list. So I pray you have a blessed event, whether it's Thanksgiving, if you're listening before that, or Christmas, or even if you're listening to this at, Valentine's Day or Easter time. It is always helpful to lean on a friend, and I hope I've been there for you. Well, take care. God bless, and I hope that you will share this episode with a friend. And this is episode 508, Last Minute Planning for the Holidays. You can find the show notes at Vintage Homeschool Moms.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, A Few Minutes with God. Please visit Felice on our website, afewminuteswithgod.com, and your podcast page on afewminuteswithgodpodcast.com. There you will find the show notes for today's episode. This podcast is a production of the Ultimate Christian Podcast Network.